potential or circumstance. They are decisive. They choose before is not a gift. It's a responsibility you're currently failing. Comfort talks them out of it. They commit before fear fin. What if the most unforgivable crime you could commit indices its argument? They understand that a good decision made fast and adjusted your lifetime isn't against another person but against the version of yourself you were along the way will always beat a perfect decision made too late. Always capable of becoming. Every single human being arrives, the gap is made of decisions. You on this planet wired with extraordinary capacity. The ability are holding the ones that close it. The only to learn, adapt, build, create, and achieve things that defy initial logic. But question is whether you're willing to make them today or spend another year. Potential. Raw, unactivated potential is completely worthless. A Ferrari adding them to the stack. What if you are not behind rusts? And right now, most people are rusting. Not because the world is unfair, but because you have been making, because they lack ability. Because they lack activation. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the right sign, the ideal conditions, completely avoidable choices, every single day, that are quietly and systematically dismantling your potential while you scroll, while you plan, while you wait, while their potential sits untouched, slowly expiring like milk nobody opened. The brutal, while you tell yourself the story that tomorrow will be different. That is not judgment. Reality is this. Potential has a shelf life. Every year that is a mirror. And the most valuable thing I can do for you today is hold it steady while you look. So don't act on it. It doesn't patiently wait. It quietly deteriorates. The person you could have been at 25 is not available here. They are 33 brutal truths. No softening, no warm-up, no participation to 35. That version closes, a new one opens, but only trophies. Just the unfiltered, evidence-backed, slightly uncomfortable reality if you move now. Potential is not a compliment. It is a challenge that separates the people who build extraordinary lives from the people who spend their lives watching those people and right now you are losing that challenge by choosing wondering why. Truth 1. Comfort is killing you softer than any enemy ever could. The comfort over activation day after day with terrifying consistency. The routine that feels fine to your daily average is your life's final is more threatening than rock bottom. Because rock bottom forces a response. Comfort. Score. What if the life you end up with is not determined by your best comfort, just slowly drains the account? One pain days, your peak moments, or your greatest efforts, but simply less reasonable, totally justified day at a time. Until the day, by what you do on an ordinary Tuesday, when nobody you look up and the account is empty. That day always comes. For everyone who chose comfortable is watching and nothing feels urgent. Because that's the over necessary. Without exception. Every excuse you make is a bill you will pay later with interest. Truth. Your daily average, the inputs you put in when motivation has I don't have time. Do you understand what that sentence has cost people? Entire left the building when results feel when the careers, businesses that would have changed their families for generations, work feels pointless. That is the number that gets. The excuse was never a shield. It was always an invoice multiplied across 365 days, across decades, and delivered quiet, accumulating, and devastating when it finally arrives as reg back to you as your life. Most people perform for audiences. They work hard when someone is watching, when the deadline is square. You are not unlucky. You are simply outworking nobody. Luck is the name average people give to the output of someone else's obsessive aming when the pain of inaction becomes unbearable. But the moment the pressure, unglamorous consistency, the person you're calling lucky made more calls, shipped more work, took more imperfect action, and said yes to more terrifying things than you did, lifts, they collapse back to their default. And their default is average. The market doesn't reward your highlight and the result showed up and you labeled it fortune. That label real. It rewards your baseline. What do you do on the days when no one kicks you from a truth you're not ready to face? Get ready. Your environment is programming you without your consent. Right now, not metaphorically. That number multiplied relentlessly over time becomes your income. But neurologically, you are absorbing the beliefs, the ceilings, and your body, your relationships, your legacy. Not your best day, the standards of the people closest to you. And if those people believe that struggle is permanent and success is for others, your average day. And most people's average is a quiet confession. Those beliefs are being installed into your operating system daily. You don't have an ambition problem. You might have a room problem of everything they settled for. You are not unwaiting to feel ready is how entire lifetimes get wasted. You will never feel ready. The feeling of readiness is a moving finishaki. You are undisciplined and blaming the wrong line created by the same brain that is biologically incentivized to keep you safe. Confidence is not a prerequisite to variable. What if luck is just a story that undisciplined people tell themselves to explain the success of disciplined ones? Here is an action. It is a consequence of it. Move first. Feel ready later. The people winning are not a number that should keep you awake. The average, the most prepared. They are the most willing to act before preparation is complete. The life you want is person spends over 7 hours per day consuming content. Scroll separated from you by decisions, not distance. Every non-decision is a decision. Every "I'll think about it" is a vote against yourself. The gaping, watching, reacting, and then calls themselves unlucky for not having what the here is made of decisions you haven't made yet. And the terrifying truth is, you are holding them right. People who spent those same hours building have. That now, today, now, the rest. Rapid is not bad luck. That is arithmetic. You are not behind because the fire, undiluted. You don't have a knowledge problem universe. Disfavors you. You are behind because you have been consistently choosing consumption. You have an action problem. More information will not save you. Overcreation, reaction over intention, and distraction over direction. And the most dangerous part, execution will. Your self-image is a ceiling, not a suggestion. A heart is that every hour spent this way feels reasonable limit. And until you change who you believe you are, no strategy in the moment. One more scroll, one more episode, one more night of rest that BLE, no mentor, no market will move you past it. Perfected into a lost year, discipline is not about punishment. It is about the Gapianism is procrastination in a tailored suit. It looks professional. It sounds between who you are and who you could be. And the ruthless daily decision to close that gap, whether you feel like it or not. To discipline people, you're responsible. It is neither. You overestimate what you can do in a week and catastrophically underestimate what you can do in 3 years of non-negotiate envy. Are not stronger. They simply stopped negotiating with their able consistency. The cost of inaction is always higher than the cost of imperfect action. Always weaknesses, and started building systems that make excellence non-optional, without exception. Do the math on what the version of you that succeeds already exists. You waiting has already cost you. Most failures are just experiments that just keep overruling it. What if the successful version of you is not something you need to build, took longer than expected? Reframe them, or let them reframe you. You're from scratch, but something you are actively, daily, and systematically asterisk choice. You cannot negotiate with mathematics. Weak inputs dot suppressing asterisks with every small decision to choose comfort. Weak outputs. The market has never made an exception. Saying yes to everything delay or distraction. This is the truth that changes everything when it lands properly, is saying no to the things that matter. Your attention is your most finite. Your best self is not absent. It is present, consistently invaluable resource. Treat it like one. Nobody is coming to save you. Not the showing up in that small voice that says make the call economy. Not the government. Not the mentor you're waiting to discover you. Send the email. Wake up earlier. Skip the excuse. And consistently. You are coming to save you, or nobody getting overruled by the louder, lazier fear. Pain is temporary. Regret is permanent. Choose which one you driven voice that has had more practice. You have been listening to the wrong voice, and are willing to live with. Your morning is a forecast for the voice you feed grows stronger. The voice you ignore grows quieter. Which entire day, when the first hour and you have already means, every time you dismiss that instinct toward great outperformed the majority of your competition. Before they nist, you make it harder for it to reach you next time. The gap between average have opened their eyes. Skills compound, circumstances change. Build the androiding is not talent. It is not resources. It is not timing. It is simply the asterisk asset that cannot be taken. Invest in what frequency asterisk with which you choose to listen to your highest impulse you carry in your head before you invest in anything else. You don't rise versus your most comfortable one. Start listening differently to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Build better systems or accept smaller results. Start choosing differently. Because the person you are capable of being is not waiting to. The world rewards specificity. I want to be successful. Be created. It is waiting to be chosen. Speed of execution is not a plan. It is a wish. Wishes don't close deals at competitive advantage. Almost nobody is using. What if the single? Feedback is the most underutilized free resource available. Most underrated skill in the world right now. The one that separates people to any human being. Ask for it aggressively. Act on it without ego, who talk about changing their life from people who actually change it. Volume cures uncertainty. When you don't know what to, is simply the speed at which they make decisions and take action. While do more of what you do know. Speed and volume, most people are deliberating, researching, preparing, optimizing, and getting ready to get ready. The people winning are already 3 iterations deep into beat strategy in early stages. Always. The market does not grade effort. It grades output. Your feelings about how hard you worked action, learning from real feedback, and compounding are irrelevant to the result. You teach people how to treat you. Every boundary you fail to hold is a standard you just lowered, and people will find that new floor. Your body is your infrastructure. Neglect it, and everything built on top of it becomes unstable. Health is not a lifestyle choice. It is a business decision. Reading without implementation is expensive entertainment. Close the book, open the execution, apply before you consume another word. Most people spend a decade building someone else's dream and then spend the next decade wondering why their life feels hollow. Comparison is data. Use it as a compass experience that no amount of planning could have produced. Speed is not recklessness. Speed is confidence expressed as behavior. It is the decision to trust yourself enough to move before you have all the answers, because in the real world, all the answers never arrive before the opportunity expires. Every extra day you spend preparing instead of executing is a day your competitor spends learning. And learning through doing compounds at a rate that learning through thinking simply cannot match. The market rewards the person who ships the imperfect product, makes the imperfect pitch, and takes, stop using it as a verdict, the version of you that you are most proud of already, the imperfect step. Because imperfect in motion is infinitely more valuable than perfect sitting exists in the decisions you choose to make starting today. Legacy is built in private, in still. Stop preparing. Start moving. Adjust on the way. The moments no camera captures. No audience witnesses. Regret is the most expensive thing you will, and no algorithm rewards, when you do the hard thing ever pay for. And it's fully avoidable. What if the heavenly way, because your standards demand it? You are not tiredest weight you will ever carry in your life, is not failure, but the permanent compounding suffix you. You are uninspired. Find the work that makes exhaustion feel like a privileging awareness of what you could have done, and a hand, and pursue it without apology, and without permission. Your network is the same. Failure is survivable. In fact, failure is instructional. Most accurate predictor of your trajectory. Financially, intellectually, emotionally. Choose accordingly. The failure gives you data, perspective, and the kind of strength that cannot. Most successful decision you can make costs nothing and requires no be purchased or studied into existence. But regret gives you nothing resources. It is simply this. Decide that where you are is no longer acceptable, and but the knowledge that you had a chance, you saw the path that who you are becoming is non-negotiable. And the final truth, you felt the pull, and you chose comfort instead. Number 33. The one that holds every other truth in place. And unlike failure, regret doesn't teach you anything you can use. You already know what you need to do. You have known for a while now. It just sits there, growing heavier with every passing year, reminding you of who you could have been. The research on deathbed regrets is, the knowledge was never the gap. The decision was the gap, the commitment was the gap. The willingness to consistent and brutal. People don't regret what they tried and stop negotiating with your own potential and start executing on it. That was the gap. And the gap closes today, failed. They regret what they never tried. They regret the business they didn't start, the person they didn't become, the version of life, or it doesn't. That is entirely, completely, and only up they talked themselves out of before it even had a chance to exist. Right to you. Every single truth delivered today, now you are making the choices that will determine which category you fall into. The cost of action even had one purpose, not to make you feel broken, not to shame you for where failed action is temporary. The cost of inaction is permanent. Choose accordingly, because time is the one resource that does not reset. You are. But to make it structurally impossible for you to keep pretending you don't know the way forward, because you do, you have always known. What you needed was someone to say it. What if nobody is coming to save without flinching, without softening, without handing you a console? You, not your parents, not your government, not the next job Asian prize for average effort. You now have no more cover, no more comfortable stories, no more the next relationship, the next opportunity that lands in your lap. What if the rescue mission you have been waiting for was always supposed to be led by asterisks? Didn't know better. You know better. The contract between you and your potential has just been rewritten. Right here, in this moment. You, asterisk. And every year you spent waiting was a year that version of you spent dying. That is where we start. No warm-up honor it, not tomorrow, not after the next video, not when the conditions feel right. Now. Because now. No inspiration quotes, just truth. Because the world is the only moment in which anything has ever actually has enough motivational content. What it is running dangerously low on is people willing to sit across from the changed for anyone. The world does not need a more comfortable version. Brutal, uncomfortable, non-negotiable reality of you. It needs the full version, the unrestricted, unapologetic, ruthlessly their own choices. And say, I did this committed version that has been sitting behind the excuses, waiting for you. And I can undo it, starting now. So here to finally decide that enough is enough. That decision is yours. Make it. Truth, you won't need it once you understand that luck is just preparation meeting one, your potential is expiring. Every day you don't activate a decision you didn't talk yourself out of. You have the preparation, it doesn't wait patiently. It deteriorates. The person you could have been at 25 is not available at 35. Windows close. New ones open. Heard the truths. Now make the decision. Everything changes from here if you choose to let it. Your daily average is your final score, not your best day. Not your peak effort, what you do on an ordinary Tuesday when nobody has got uncomfortable. For sitting in the truth instead of running from it. For caring enough about your one watching that gets multiplied across decades and delivered back to you as your life. Most people's average is a quiet confession of everything, and only life to hear hard things and stay in the room anyway. That is not a small they settled for. You are not unlucky. You are undisciplined and blaming the wrong variable. The average person spends thing. That is the beginning of everything. Now go build something worthy of the 7 hours a day consuming content, and then calls themselves unlucky for not having what disciplined people built during those same hours. That is not bad luck. That is arithmetic. Potential you just chose not to waste. The successful version of you already exists. You keep overruling it. Every time you dismiss the instinct that says make the call, start hook opens with what if. What if you are not behind because you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not connected enough, but because you have today, stop waiting. You make it quieter. The voice you feed grows. Been telling yourself the most polite, most reasonable, most socially acceptable lies. In the voice you ignore shrinks. You have been feeding the wrong voice. Stop. Speed of execution is a competitive advantage almost nobody is using. While human history and calling them strategy, what if the distance between your current life and the life you actually want is not made of missing resources? Missing most people are preparing. The people winning are already 3 iterations deep into action. Speed is not recklessness, it is confidence expressed as behavior. Imperfect action in time, or missing opportunity, but made entirely of decisions you keep finding motion beats perfect strategy sitting still. Every single time. Reasons to not make. Here's what I know about you already. Regret is the most expensive thing you will ever pay for. Failure is survivable. Failure is instructional. But regret gives you nothing but the permanent awareness you are capable of, more than your current results suggest. I know that because of what you could have done and didn't. Research on deathbed regrets is consistent. People don't regret what they tried. Incapable people don't seek out conversations like this one. They regret what they never attempted. Busy is not productive. Motion. But capability without execution is just potential, and potential is not progress. Most people are running at full speed in circles. If with no deadline is just a dream with a good, your activity isn't producing measurable results, you are not working hard. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you 33 brutal truths, not to hype you. You are working loud. The market does not care about your story. You're not to make you feel good, but to surgically remove every story, childhood, your trauma, your bad luck. None of it is every excuse, every comfortable lie you've been using to justify staying exactly where you are. Some of it relevant to the market. The market only speaks one language, output. Deliver will hit hard. Let it. Because everything that's star or don't, it will not negotiate. What you tollings, that's the truth. Finding something rare, you endorse. Every bad habit you accept. Every standard real. In truth, brutal, unfiltered, direct you lower, every boundary you don't hold, you just voted for more truth, is the only thing that has ever actually changed a human life. Stay with me. Lock of it. Stop endorsing what you say you hate. You don't have a knowledge problem. You have an execution problem. You already know enough to start. You have known for months. The information is not what's missing. The decision is. Your network is either any booty. Your network is either an